Oh yeah, sexy biscuits. Nice.
Long boy clothes, 1975. A YouTuber is on the rise. Reviewing games late at night and sometimes friends used to bug me. Long boys clothes, 1975.
Hey YouTube, Lawn Boys Post 1975, and welcome to the Wednesday vlog. I do apologise that it's so dark in here. My trusty LED light that I've had since 2011, when I first started making YouTube videos and just sits in front of me and illuminates me, stopped working. But I was determined to make this vlog because I'm determined to, keep to my schedule of always having a Wednesday vlog when I have something interesting to talk about, I should say. Now, you've read the title. I'm sure this video is going to get a bunch of hate and thumbs down and stuff like that, but bear with me where I'm coming from, which is it about time? This is based on the Switch reveal, which, don't get me wrong, I was very, very excited about, and I'm a massive Nintendo fan, and I love my Wii U, and I absolutely adored the Wii, but that's not what this is about. But isn't it about time that Nintendo should just, I don't know, make a more traditional console? I don't know, just make something that will compete with the PS4, the Xbox One, on specs, with a standard controller, plug into your telly, Wi-Fi access, traditional, console. Is that what we want? That's certainly what I want. I think it's safe to say, I'm not a Nintendo fanboy, but I am a fan of Nintendo. Never had a NES back in the day. After, I was with my my Japanese Mega Drive, I got a Super Famicom, and I've had every Nintendo console since. And there's been mistakes along the way, but I think it's safe to say that, with the exception of the Wii, but I'll get to that in a moment, that their strongest consoles were the more traditional ones, but they did shoot themselves in the foot with that. I mean, look at the N64. Excuse me. The N64 was a brilliant console, but it was let down by storage. But if you think about an N64 that would have had, a CD drive, it would have been fantastic. Same with the GameCube. Not CD drive, obviously. The GameCube was a brilliant console. Didn't compete as well as the other, the PlayStation 2 and the original Xbox, because of its optical media disc being smaller to some degree, I should say. If it was just DVD, would it have done better? But it was a traditional console, and we like that. Now, the Wii was massively successful, and as I said, I love my Wii. It's one of my favourite consoles of all time, but I think it's safe to say it did fall into that gimmick category where the motion controls until the Motion Plus weren't fantastic. Now, don't get me wrong, like I said, some of my favourite consoles of all time, but it hit this kind of niche market, well, not niche, this general market where it appealed to, across the board, because it could be used you can use it, to play games, you can use it, the elderly or those who are recovering from injuries and stuff can use it for, fitness and stuff like that. So, it did really extremely well. One thing I will have to say here, the elephant in the room, which, as anyone who watches my channel knows, I always say this, which is, I guess I can, because I always buy Nintendo consoles. I expect longer than a 5-year lifespan, Nintendo, particularly with the Wii. I know you're eager to jump on, but that was hugely successful. So then the Wii U comes out, and you think, how do we, again, I love my Wii U, I think it's a fantastically underrated console, but how do we capitalise on what we did with the Wii? We go on a different route from other consoles, and that's fine and dandy, and you could argue, part of the fault with the Wii U was how it was marketed, and, well, at least in my country, I never saw any commercials for it, but it was this, we have to constantly go in a different route, which is great, because innovation is great if done correctly, or marketed correctly. And now I watched the reveal for the Switch, and it's not a Switch reveal, sort of video this, and it looks really impressive. And, I like the thought behind it. There are a few worrying thoughts, which is how powerful can it be? How durable will it be with this constant switching in and switching out? Don't like the fact that the logo looks like a Domino Pizza's advert, but that's nothing to do with the hardware. But yeah, no, I'm excited about it. But how many people, and I've got to say, like I said, I was excited for that reveal, but how many people out there are like me, which thinks, Nintendo, can you go back to doing what you do best, which is just make a traditional console? you know, innovation is great if done correctly, but there's a fine, thin line between innovation and gimmick. Am I saying, you know, the Switch is a gimmick? No, not necessarily such, because I've never had my hands on one, you know. Is it a tablet? You know, is it more powerful than a tablet? Can you switch in, switch out all the time? Would it really be that interesting an experience? Well, ultimately, most of us play at home because it's a mobile device. It's too big. Again, can't comment on that. But does anyone else think, like, Nintendo, seriously, just forget this? It's not necessarily about brute force, you know, power or hardware, because it's not. And I've always agreed with Nintendo on that. But, you know, based on where you've been for the last few years, why don't you just make a traditional console? Why don't you just make a, you know, a box that can compete graphically, power-wise, processor-wise, and all that stuff, and, you know, connectivity and everything, like the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. And I don't know, would that attract more? Do Nintendo put off third-party developers with this constant need to go in a different direction? As I said, that's to be commended, but it doesn't always work. Based on, you know, their recent history, I'm kind of in a mindset which is, I right now would prefer a more traditional console. I would prefer just a box, like I said, plug into your telly, you know, plug it into your HD, maybe 4K, maybe not, I don't know, I don't have 4K, I don't care. But obviously trying to directly compete with the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, because I did like their analogy with the Wii, which is when it came out against the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360, which is, it's not all about power, you know, the whole dinosaur analogy, which is, you know, how many beasts of a similar size can exist, someone has to go in a different direction. I get that, but based upon how the Wii U, you know, performed and stuff, it still very much, you know, feels like they're in that mindset where they're trying to give you, yes, I understand, trying to stand out from the others, but they're trying to give you something which has not completely worked previously, and maybe it's about time they just went, do you know what, a brute force powerful, you know, Nintendo system, a more traditional console which would attract third-party developers, and you'd have all their amazing first-party titles on. If they made it backward compatible and they went with a disc-based media, I honestly think that would sell. That would sell. That's not to say the Switch wouldn't sell, but, you know, and it probably will. But my point being, they're in, you know, risky territory or waters right now, because it's this constantly trying to be completely outside of the box to what everyone else is doing. It's not really paid dividends recently, has it? So, you know, I'm just asking, there's no right or wrong answer, because ultimately, if this is the route they're going, which they are, I will probably buy a Switch because of first-party Nintendo titles, but I really do think there is a place right now, and maybe it's about time that Nintendo went a little bit more traditional, you know, didn't mix up the media and stuff like that, you know, and just went, let's do it, go back to what we did, you know, on the consoles that were really, 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 you know, popular. I know the Wii was popular, but you get the point I'm saying, where that was because of how it was marketed, you know, with the motion controls and stuff like that, but it was not a traditional Nintendo console. I personally would like to see a much more traditional Nintendo console. Old school in the sense that box, media, disc based, you know, no, like, do I want... This is something else. Do I want to be able to use my main system as a portable device when it's not actually that small? I don't know. That's why I buy a portable device. And again, does this mean there won't be any more... Oh, again, no, for the first time, does this mean there won't be any more sort of handheld, you know, portable Nintendo units? Because ultimately this system is both TV, handheld. It's interesting, but that's why I thought I'd ask this question. Again, it's just me, but... Is it, you know, is there a place for, or do you think that, you know, maybe Nintendo should just go back to doing what they do best, which is traditional consoles? Anyway, I'd love to know what you think, and as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later.